Happy Star Wars Day, everyone! How's everyone doing? I am exhausted. I just woke up, but I am glad to be here. So happy Star Wars Day. Let's see who's in the chat, and we'll get started. Not sure really to get started with what. We're just chatting today. Actually, I do want to share some things. But let's go to the chat. What up, Supreme Leader Dragovich? Thank you as always. It's been so long. I was sleeping when you did the Bad Batch watch party. I was exhausted, dude. I was up to like 4:30 my time, and I went to sleep. I was a little disappointed actually to wake up to no Star Wars announcements, but it is what it is. We don't care about that. We care about celebrating Star Wars. Remember to destroy the like button. Just absolutely demolish it. That is correct. We want to annihilate the like button because it really helps out. It helps me out, and it helps the YouTube algorithm out, and it helps bring more people towards this community. So, hey, hello there, Goldie. What up, Snips Tano? What did you think about the Bad Batch episode? We'll get into that in a bit. I'll wait a little bit for a few more people to tune in if they're going to. Lunga. Actually, that is my bad. I should be sending the link of my thing in the group chat. So yes, let me do this real quick. I think this is how I do it. If anyone wants to come on. Sorry, I just had to send the link because so what I'm doing right now, for those of you who are unaware, actually, can I share? I'm gonna try and download that picture, Lunga. Give me a sec. Lunga, if you're watching, can you send me a picture of the schedule that people have? Because I know you have it as a GIF. Thank you. All right. OMG. I love the Bad Batch. We'll get into that bit. We'll get into that in a bit. Hi, Goldman. How's everyone doing? Ooh, we got Jar Jar Binks in the chat. You still gonna be in big doo-doo if you did not like Lisa episode. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you too, Taddy Topol. That's back. No, I miss streaming. It's been a while. If you're an active fan of the channel, you know that I've been a little AFK recently. What up, Luna? What up, Sonora? I'm good. It's good seeing you guys back. It's been a while for me. I've been finishing up school, doing stuff like that. But I've actually been spending a lot of time trying to study YouTube and crap like that. You know, how to get better, how to make better videos, how to optimize my videos the best I can. So when I do start making videos again, I will be in full force. That is my goal. Gong66, what's up? I should have school off for May the 4th. Everyone should. It should be a national holiday. Here we go. There we go. Thank you so much, Lunga. Okay. Share screen. I think this is what I want. Sorry. Which one is it? Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Here we go. All right. So for May the 4th, there has been an 8-person marathon stream. So we began with Star Wars Santa. Oh, I'm actually very upset. If it wasn't so early, I would have definitely hopped onto that if I could. But no, I was very tired. And I do want to speak to Star Wars Santa one day because he seems like a really cool guy. So we start off with Star Wars Santa. And then number 2 is some loser named Star Wars Only. We don't really like him here. Then we got All New Nerds. I've never spoken to him. So I don't know really anything about him. Then we got me. Then we got our boy Lunga. Then we got a Chatooine show at 4 o'clock. I probably won't be able to hop on yours, Lunga, because I just need to eat food. I might hop on for a bit, actually, if I can. But I'll be there for the Chatooine show. And then we have an hour break. Or actually, we might go over an hour for a Chatooine show. We'll see. Talk about the Bad Batch. And then we got Jedi Jive. And then we got our boy Palpamemes. Palpamemes is the GOAT, man. The way he got a billboard on Times Square for Rey. I need to do something like that. I absolutely need to do something like that. But yeah, that's what we got going on for Star Wars Day. So thank you to Lunga. Oh, here we go. I'll be giving away that Sith holocron I made during my stream after this. So yeah, at least for the Chatooine show, if you guys tune in, I'm sure Lunga will make an announcement there, but he's doing a giveaway for a Sith holocron. So yeah, at 4, so in about 2 hours, 4 Eastern, tune in for the Chatooine show, and our boy Lunga will go more into that. But thank you, Lunga. Thank you for the Lunga set this up again like he did last year with the graphic and everything. So thank you, Lunga, very much. No problem, bro. I can't come on now, but now either getting everything together, LOL, and tweeting everything for all the shows. Yeah, understandable. No worries. Let's go back to the chat. Sorry, I just wanted to make that announcement about the rest of Star Wars Day. Hey, yo, what up, Spencer? At the Goldman, are you hoping to see any announcements of the upcoming series? I feel like if there were going to be any announcements, they would have announced it by now because I think they had Dave Filoni on Good Morning America, but no announcements. I always have expectations about announcements because those are it's the most exciting thing about being a Star Wars fan other than consuming content. But no, we got nothing, and that's fine. I just want an official release date for the Lego Star Wars. Well, because I'm part of this LOL, we just streamed an All New Nerds. There we go. Levy, thank you for being part of this this marathon. It's been a lot of fun. Crystal Customs, hey, what's up? All right, so let's get into my thoughts on the Bad Batch. I'm not sure who here was watching me at 3 in the morning Eastern. Oh, I was exhausted. It's weird. My sleep schedule has been so screwed up that like I've been awake at 3 usually. But whenever like I need to stay up till 3, I feel tired. But whenever I want to go to sleep, I don't feel tired. It's the worst thing ever. Bad Batch was great. Yeah, I saw Papa Muse was on Good Morning America. Oh, I love that guy. I need to talk to him more. Hey, does someone seen my shirt? Actually, do you like my shirt? I got Celebrate the Bad Batch. We got Darth Vader and some clones. Some Phase 2 clones. Ooh, I'll get into this too. All right, so let's go into the Bad Batch. The best thing that happened on May 4th was the Return of the Goldman. Thank you. So I thoroughly enjoyed the Bad Batch. I would give it, if I had to give it out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it did a really good job setting up the rest of the series. I loved the beginning. I thought the beginning was very interesting. That was one of the things I wanted to see. So we got them. So spoilers for the Bad Batch first episode. I'm assuming if you're here, you've watched it. If not, then click away because we will be talking spoilers. So the episode began. The Bad Batch is on a mission, and they emphasize right away that the Bad Batch are just better than regular clones. The regs are the regular clones, and then Order 66 is executed, and it's with Kanan and Depa Balaba. Kanan from Rebels. So we saw his origin story kind of a little bit. But so as cool as that scene was, it does come with big problems. My big problem is that there is a Kanan comic. Let's see about Kanan comic. Here we go. Let me share my screen. Can I change it now? Stop screen. All right, sorry. Just got to share the screen. I'm slow with this. Bear with me. Okay. So as you can see here, there's a Kanan comic series. It has 12 issues, and they basically cover Kanan's escape during Order 66 and all that. And it was a very solid comic. I thought it was a very good comic. But the problem with this lies in the fact that they just completely contradict the comic. The beginning of the Bad Batch when we see Depa Balaba get killed and Kanan escape, it's not the same as the comic. And as cool as the scene was, and I love connections like that. I love how they're making it more of a connected universe. That in a sense, the Bad Batch could serve as a bridge between Clone Wars and Rebels. Not that there needs to be a bridge, but it can serve as one. So I love the connections that it has with the Clone Wars and with Rebels, especially with Kanan. But as a Kanan fan, they just blatantly contradict. It wasn't just one issue. This was a 12-issue run. This was a major comic back in 2015 and 2016. So I'm not very happy about that. It's so bright in my room. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but it's the best I can do. I can go like this. Yeah, it's unfortunate that they kind of just disregarded a comic. I didn't think they had to. I mean, yeah, it was nice seeing Kanan, but they sacrificed the legitimacy of the canon a little bit. There have been contradictions before, but I thought this was a bigger one. So I wasn't too happy about that. But moving on. Ooh. Comic Rebellion. Hey, Goldman, just dropping in. May the Fourth be with you. What did you think of Disney's real lightsaber? I actually only saw a little bit of that. I need to get a little bit of a more in-depth look at it. It's actually, Julia, it's actually my camera that's like really bright. Like in my room, it's actually quite dark, but the camera, I don't know how to fix it. But that's why when I stream on OBS, a different platform, and not the Duck one, which is up there, it looks better. So moving on from the Bad Batch, so the beginning was really interesting. And I think that was one of my questions going in, was the Bad Batch affected by Order 66? And it turns out they weren't, with the exception of Crosshair. So Crosshair was affected. And I think the beginning was really great. I thought the beginning was like a good 9 out of 10. And after that, it slowed down a little bit. It wasn't bad by any means. It just slowed down a little bit. I didn't think this episode needed to be... wait a minute. You didn't realize that was Kanan? Yeah, it was Caleb Doom. Caleb Doom was his name before he was Kanan. And actually going into this, so they come back, and I hope they dive into this more, because this was one of my, not problems, but one of the things I was a little bit disappointed in. So we know the Bad Batch has been isolated from other clones, but they seem to have, at least from the Bad Batch arc from the Clone Wars Season 7, they seem to have a solid relationship with the other clones. And here we see the other clones kind of just lose their humanity a little bit with Order 66. And I think that's a really interesting topic that they should explore throughout the show. What I want, something that we didn't get in this episode that I want them to go explore throughout the series is, how are these clones handling the fact that all their brothers are basically turned against them? Like in this episode, they were fighting other clones. They've never had to do that before, and they kind of just didn't care. I mean, besides the fact that they were fighting Crosshair, they cared about that, but they don't seem to care about fighting the other clones. And I really want to see them kind of struggle with that. Like the fact that their whole way of life is gone now, and that their brothers are not their brothers anymore. They still exist. They're not dead, but they're mentally they're just not the same person anymore. And I want them to explore that trauma. Like we saw Wrecker be this like happy-go-lucky guy, and I love Wrecker, by the way. He's hilarious. He has a lot of comedic relief, but maybe that's a front for some pain he's feeling. The fact that all these clones are gone. Now I want to see them explore that. And I'm not sure if they will, but I really think that would be a missed opportunity, because for me, the trauma of the clones, of these clones, I think would be the most interesting aspect. Haven't seen yet. Is it worth a watch? What, Rebels or the Clone or Bad Batch? They're both great. So the retcon the episode, I think it just shows that there are tiers of canon, just like before. The TV films are the highest level of canon, with the comics books being lower level. Yeah, it seems like that's what they're doing again. It's just, for me, they came out and said that everything is canon, and I'm okay with small like contradictions here and there, like with the Ahsoka book, how they said Ahsoka used green lightsabers during the Siege of Mandalore, but in the show they were blue. Those are contradictions I can live with, no problem. But you just contradicted a whole story, like not just a little detail here and there, but with the canon comic, that's a whole story that was contradicted, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that. Hey, we got Star Wars Santa here. We need to stream sometime. I know within like the rest of May, I won't be that active on YouTube. I'll still be doing these streams probably twice a week or so. But starting this summer, Star Wars Santa, I want to do more streams with you, because you seem like a really cool guy, and I want to get to know you better. I was sort of underwhelmed that Omega was a medical assistant. I think there's more to Omega than we know. I mean, obviously, she's a female clone, which I love that concept. I know a lot of people going in were like, is that possible? Is that how cloning works? And I think if you're going to start questioning the technology of cloning, I don't know. I think, in my opinion, you're just digging too deep into Star Wars. Like, that's not how Star Wars works. Just quick thing. We got 38 people watching. At least for me, it says up there. But we got 38 people watching. We got to destroy that like button. Destroying the like button really helps not only me out, but our boy Claude out. Do you want to make Claude upset? No, hit the like button. It makes Claude very happy if you hit the like button. So thank you. Going back. Oh, yeah. Wrecker was my favorite character in the series so far. Yeah, I like him too. I kind of like Tech. I don't know. I like how smart he is. And I'm glad I don't hate Omega. Although she says Omega. Ooh, hot take. So yeah, I thought the rest of the episode after the beginning, it was okay. I enjoyed it. I like the dynamic between the characters. And I hope they explore what I said earlier. I want them to explore the trauma of the clones. And I hope it's not just like serial adventures. I want them to dive deep. And it's like with the Clone Wars, yeah, it was lighthearted, but there are episodes that they really delved deep into the mentality of the characters, and some of the traumas that they went through. And I want this show to do that. The cloners are able to genetically modify the clones to make them more docile, etc. So it is pretty easy for them to change the sex if they wanted to. Yeah. How would you rate this episode? I give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't great. I enjoyed a lot of it. I just wish they did a little bit more. Oh, we got a special guest. Hold on, I got to put on my headphones first. Oh, it's not connected. Oh. All right, everyone. Welcome to our special guest. Say hello to Memes. We're not center. There we go.
Hello there.
God, it's good to have you on, man. How you doing? I don't hear you now. What the hell? Did I mute you?
Oh, I'm muted. There you go. How's that?
I thought I was screwing something up. Yeah, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm a little tired, but I'm glad to start. How was going on Good Morning America?
It was fun. We didn't do a whole lot because it was like an audience type thing. But it was still fun. They just had us cheer and stuff like every like 30 minutes or something because they had like an intermission section. It was pretty fun though. I just got my lightsaber and started swirling it around and stuff.
That's what I would do. When your billboard comes up, you definitely, or you'll be streaming at that time, right?
Yes. Yeah, I plan on starting
so
at 5:45.
Okay, so I'll be
Standard Time.
Okay, so I'll be watching, and then I gotta see that billboard. That'd be so cool. I'm so excited for you, man.
If you want to join in,
I'll let you know because I do have a little schoolwork to do, but I could probably join it for a bit. But yeah, thank you for coming on.
No, of course.
We're just chatting some about the Bad Batch and our thoughts on it.
I just finished it.
What I was saying, I'll go into my thoughts, and then you can share your thoughts for everyone. Everyone's excited to have you here. So for me, I rated it about a 7 out of 10. It was an episode I enjoyed. I like some of the setup, but for me, the biggest thing I wanted to see with this show is for them to explore what's it like for these clones after the war, the potential trauma that these characters are going to face. That all their brothers are basically different people now. Mm-hmm. They just lost one of their own in Crosshair. That they're on more of a reckless lifestyle now. They're on their own. They're not part of the military anymore. So I want to see them not just be all happy all the time. I want to see what it's like for these people to make them feel like real human beings. Mm-hmm. And the first episode for me didn't really do that so far. They got a little upset to see Crosshair be not turned, but he was affected by the chip clearly. And I hope throughout the rest of the series they explore what's it like for these people. How are they gonna react to a post-war life? And I want to see them really explore that. So, tell me your overall thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, I'm right with you there on 7 out of 10. That's what I gave. I know some people are giving like 10 out of 10. Some people really love it. That's great. For me, it's just not my cup of tea, I guess. It's not exactly down the line of what I like with Star Wars. I know that sounds kind of selfish. Like, I'm happy for those who love this show. Like, I'm glad they're getting what they want. For me personally, it's not exactly what I anticipate when it comes to new Star Wars stuff, but hey, new Star Wars is new Star Wars. I still enjoyed it. Even as a kid, the Clone Wars show, I watched it, I just wasn't super into it. So I guess maybe it's animation that I'm not into, I don't know, but the story was, I like the overall story, like, premise of it. Like, it's a cool outline, but it was kind of hard to stay super engaged with the entire 70-minute runtime. I don't think they could have cut it down shorter because then you'd be missing some important aspects of it. But at the same time, there was some parts that I'm just like, it's whatever. It wasn't bad by any means, but I'm just not super, super into it. I am looking forward to the next episode, though. But I just don't have like a ton of hype, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. If you ask people who watch my channel regularly, they would tell you I wasn't super excited for this show when it was announced. I was actually a little bit harsh on it at first. And I thought about it, and I realized the potential, which was what I explained before.
It's a cool. I like seeing Palpatine and that whole
Yeah.
they just took the entire audio clip from Revenge of the Sith, which I thought was funny. But it was cool. I like they had that really cool stuff. I just hope they go deeper into it and deeper into
Agreed.
these character motivations and development and stuff,
Mm.
which I'm sure they will. So
One thing I hope it isn't like a season one of Rebels where they're kind of just running away from the Empire throughout the whole
mm,
season. I really want them, and we know we'll see Rex at some point, and if we see Rex, we might see Ahsoka. I don't really care about seeing Ahsoka or not. Like I've gotten my Ahsoka
yeah,
fix. We're getting her own show later next year. So if we see her, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. I don't know. I want this. I think, and I'm just repeating myself, but I want them to really explore them being clones after the war because we haven't seen that. How does it make them feel that they weren't affected by Order 66? And I'm a little nervous not going to do that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they were just if they didn't really struggle as much mentally. They might have some obstacles that they have to overcome as a team. You know, how are they going to implement Omega into their group? I think they're going to meet. I forgot the name of the clone, but I think it was because at the end of the episode they said they know a guy that they were going to go meet because they have nowhere really to go. I think
right,
it was
right.
Do you know which clone that was, or if it even was a clone?
I'm not
No.
sure.
I
Um,
saw I saw someone say that it was like a clone that married a Twi'lek. I think that was from one of the arcs.
oh, from like season 3 or whatever of Clone Wars,
Yeah,
because he completely abandoned the war, didn't he? If I remember
yeah.
correctly. Yeah, I remember that
So
episode. Yeah,
um,
maybe.
so I'm curious.
Because are they?
Ooh, so it was
I don't know.
cut
It was cut. The
the farmer
farmer
clone. Yeah,
clone.
okay.
Okay, so
And I
what
don't
was
remember a lot of
it?
the arcs, but I think I know which
Yeah,
one you're talking
right.
about.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool.
So let's see. Rogue Guardian says I think what bothered me about it was that it just felt like something I've seen before. It's not a bad thing, but unless the show takes some risks, I don't think I'll be invested for too long. I'm somewhat with him there because this episode really felt like Clone Wars season 8, and I'm not sure I want that. I love the Clone Wars. We have 7 seasons of that. I would love if this show kind of had its own identity instead of just riding off the Clone Wars, if you will. Because Rebels obviously has a lot of ties to Clone Wars and all that. We have some of the same characters and some of the same themes, but Rebels really has its own identity. And right now, the Bad Batch doesn't seem to have that. Like people, when I was watching it in the comments, were just saying, "Oh, it's Clone Wars season 8," and yes, the animation was amazing. I
Yeah.
did hope. I wish they had a little bit of a different animation style though, just to separate it apart from the Clone Wars, to make it feel like this is a different show instead of Clone Wars season 8, where we're just following the same group of people throughout the whole show.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty fair. I thought the animation was glorious though. The shading and
Oh,
lighting.
absolutely.
I said at one
Mm.
point we were joking on our Discord. I said the shading and lighting is better in the show than it is in the prequel CGI. Because like the prequel
You're not
CGI is just
wrong.
like a ton of bloom and stuff in the back windows and whatnot. Like you look on when they're in the elevator on Coruscant, they're just bloom. It's just like a big light behind them. But no, it was
That's a good
beautifully.
point.
Yeah, it was beautifully done. Yeah.
What did actually I talked about this a little bit before you came on. I'm not sure how involved you are with the canon, with the books or comics, but if you've read the canon comic,
Right.
they've told his story before, and it's a blatant contradiction of that.
Right.
Does that bother you at all?
Well, no, because I haven't read the comic. So,
Okay.
but I understand where people are coming from. I find it funny how we're only one episode in, we've already gotten like 4 cameos, because we've got Kanan, we've got the name of Rex, then we have oh, what's that guy's name? Saw Gerrera, and then there was one more I thought I can't remember.
Tarkin? Is that your
Yeah,
cameo?
Tarkin. Yeah. So and so that's like my biggest concern for future Lucasfilm stuff and sort of this Filoni verse type deals. Like if everything's
Hmm.
like connected with the same characters, I'm gonna kind of lose it.
Yeah, the
But
cameos didn't bother me because I don't think we'll be
no, not these, not
seeing
these. I just find
Kanan
it
again.
funny. It's
Yeah,
like you count them.
I'll say
No, the
this is the
cameos make
first.
sense. Yeah.
Mhm. This is the first time, I don't know, like we've seen Tarkin before, but it really made me hate him. Like not in a good way. Just like, oh, he's the worst. He's sending the Bad Batch into like the the training simulations with actual
Yeah,
like
he
what they
doesn't care
say
about
actual
them.
like real rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Live fire, I think
I
he
like
said.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too. It really made me hate him. Before I don't know. I never really had an opinion on Tarkin.
Yeah.
But it really made me uh dislike him.
Same. Yeah, it
The
was really
retcon
cool.
wasn't that big. Seeing stuff on screen is greater than the retcon. I think it depends. It just for me when they came out and they said the canon's important, and even now, they're pushing out these new comics. Like they just released a comic about Vader going to Exegol,
Hmm.
and in a sense, that's just as important as this Kanan comic. But they just disregarded the Kanan comic. So how much legitimacy do I put into the fact that Vader went to Exegol and all that?
Right.
And the High Republic too. That's books and comics. Um, so they're you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, read these comics and books. So they're part of the essential Star Wars story, but then you completely contradict them. And it's not like little contradictions here and there. Like with the Ahsoka book, you know how I'm not sure if you're familiar with this Papa meme, but in the Ahsoka book that came out like 4 years ago, there was a brief paragraph about the Siege of Mandalore, and Ahsoka said she used her green lightsabers, but in Clone Wars season 7, she used her blue lightsabers.
Yeah.
Little contradictions like that just don't bother me at all. Like I can live with that. But just for me, the problem here is that they completely contradicted a whole story. A whole 12 issue series is basically rendered useless now. Um,
It's true.
so and it was a cool scene in the show. I just feel like they could have done it without Kanan. I understand they wanted to have the connection with Kanan.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It,
Because
it, it didn't seem necessary to me.
I'll be honest, I didn't know it was Kanan until, well, till he ignited his lightsaber. I'm like, okay, that's Kanan's lightsaber. I mean, you're exactly right on that. I thought it was just a random Padawan.
As
He
as
was
a
a lot
huge Rebels
different.
fan, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
So
young. I wonder actually. I didn't check if Freddie Prinze Jr. Voiced him, and they just like
Ooh.
raised the tone of his voice in the
Yeah, I mean, he's a
post.
voice actor, so he could probably pitch it up, a little bit or something. But yeah.
Yeah. The retcon was a problem because it changed the essence of the story. Depa Balaba's death was much more impactful in the comic. That's why people are mad. I don't remember the comic specifically, like how the death was, but yeah, I remember that, and which is a little unfortunate, because I like the comic and uh, Roy, they changed the story. Yeah, the same events happened with Depa Balaba dying and all that, but they did change quite a bit. I think changes from comics are inevitable. Productions often require changes for elements that work better in the medium. Comics and books are 100% legitimate until proven otherwise. The thing is, this comic didn't need to be contradicted. This for the story of the Bad Batch, you did not need to have Kanan be the Padawan that runs around. You could have had it been just a new Padawan, or you could have had it been so that a master and a Padawan die. Like the Padawan is running off and then he gets killed by a crosshair or something. And I think that would have served the same purpose narratively. But they wanted to have Kanan there for the connection to Rebels, which is fine. It's just you had to contradict a whole comic series or a good portion of a comic series, which I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It's a shame, but
His voice sounded like an adult. I thought that was funny. A little bit, a little bit. Two Chads talking about Star
there
Wars.
we go. There we go.
Um, going a little bit more into the rest of the Bad Batch. What are your thoughts on Omega? Because I kind of like her, to be honest.
She's cute. She's fun. She's a little kid. Like,
Yeah.
people are already saying that people are already calling her a Mary Sue because she said that
Like, cause she,
when she basically used the people are saying she's a Force user, which there's a
I
theory
wouldn't
that
like that.
she's like the start of that whole clone Force thing, which I don't think so, but it's interesting. But yeah, people are already complaining about her and whatnot. I thought she was fine. Dave Filoni's been very upfront that he does these things for kids. I'm like, okay, I
Hmm.
understand that. So that kid, Omega, she's very clearly there for that kind of kiddish side, but I didn't mind. I thought she was fine. I think she was fun. Like it's Star Wars. It's a cartoon. Okay. I'm
Yeah, I
excited
liked
to
her
see
too.
where she goes. Yeah, and she seems to have
I,
some importance to everything. So it's not like she's
agreed.
just randomly there.
I really hope she's not force sensitive. I really hope she's not force sensitive. I think
She will be.
having
They wrote that line in. I'm sorry.
I
I
I
know,
I I
but I
hope not. I don't
know.
know. It's just like that they already made her a female clone, which I really like that concept.
That's cool.
But
Yeah.
for me, that's like that already sets her apart that she's a female clone. I feel
Hmm.
like you don't need to make her force sensitive as well to make her special. And I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of with you there. I mean,
uh,
I don't think I'd hate it. It depends on what they do with it essentially.
hmm,
I think
yeah.
it'd be interesting if the clones start go. I think it'd be really cool if she is force sensitive, and so because of that, the clones start going after her. I mean, that'd be something I could work with story wise. Be like, okay, that's pretty cool. That makes sense. that could give
Hmm.
the Bad Batch a purposeful reason with her to keep her with them and safe. But yeah, other than that, I'm like, I don't think it's necessary.
I think a little concern I have, and I think this is what a lot of people share, is that with the Mandalorian, we had this rough guy in Mando, kind of adopt a baby in Grogu, and it kind of softened him a little bit. And with this show, we have a team of the Bad Batch with 4 people, and they're kind of adopting Omega with them
Right.
as
I really
well.
like that
I
aspect.
I, I like it too. I hope though it's not retreading the same story. I hope they try to differentiate it a little bit from what the Mandalorian did with Mando and Grogu,
Hmm.
because I don't know. I want them. I want these stories to be unique from each other, and that's something I said earlier. How I think this show's a little bit too much like the Clone Wars. So I hope they don't really go too deep into that.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I can see what you're saying with that.
For me, it says this. She's definitely not a Mary Sue. I don't really like her. I think she'll be great gateway to kitty antics and kind of be a thorn in the side of the show. It might not be like that, but I'm worried. I don't know. For me, when she just like was good with a blaster, my thought was just like it's in her blood. If she's a clone, she's a fighter. I guess that was
True.
just my
Yeah.
thought. I don't know if that's how it works or not, but I don't know. It
Right. And I don't
didn't
think
bother me.
even that. It's like I don't think it matters. It's like how many times have we
Mhm.
seen? Okay, let's say Anakin. Let's say I get he's the chosen one. His force sensitive. Let's say a 9-year-old boy, somehow building the C-3PO fully insane machinery, building a pod race or winning the pod race, being the only human to survive a pod race or something like that. And then he gets in a freaking N1 starfighter, some highly advanced starfighter that he's very clearly had no experience with before, and he flies and he blows up the Trade Federation ship and he escapes it and he wins the battle. It's Star Wars. It's fun. I'm not complaining about that. I just find it ironic that anytime you introduced, I know it's not a lot of people calling Omega Mary Sue, but there are some, and it's just really weird how like you introduce a female character and immediately it's like, nope. How'd she do that? How'd she do this? Why didn't they explain how she breathed? It's like it just irritates me. I'm sorry. Just
Yeah, no,
annoying.
I trust me, dude. I share.
I'm
I
sure you
haven't
get the
seen anyone
same. Yeah.
call Omega Mary Fruit, but yeah.
Yeah.
But those are kind of my thoughts on the Bad Batch. I mean, it was fun. I'm looking forward to the rest of the episodes.
Yeah. It's an
Um,
average show, I'd
but yeah,
say. Average Star Wars. It's
so yeah.
Clone Wars. Clone Wars for me has always
Mhm,
been okay, above average, pretty good episodes, but fun.
mhm.
You
So
know.
yeah. All right. For the next whatever amount of minutes, so we've spoken a few times, but I don't really know a lot of your Star Wars opinions. I can tell you love the sequels just as I do, but I don't know a lot of your opinions. So what we're gonna do is I want you to one by one share me your Star Wars rankings from worst to best of the movies.
Okay. Okay. Let me get them up real quick because I have them.
All right. I know mine by heart. You don't know these by heart?
I know mine by heart, but like, well, I don't even know if I should bring this up because it's such an old one. They change like every month, I swear. Um.
I'm like that too.
Okay. Yeah,
Every
they
time I
change,
rewatch them,
but
I change.
overall they're still same except for the first three.
Yeah.
So it goes
So
right. You want me to go or?
just one more quick
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
If you're in the chat, share your rankings as well because I love to
Hmm.
know. And go from
Gotcha.
worst to best. I think worst to best is more
Worst
fun.
to best. Okay. Okay. And this is on. I don't think any Star Wars movie is genuinely bad. Let me just get that out of the way. Number 11, The Phantom Menace. Number 10, Attack of the Clones. Number 9, Solo: A Star Wars Story. That one's low. And then number 8, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Number 7, which might surprise people, Return of the Jedi.
Mm.
And then number 6, I've got Force Awakens. Number 5, I've got. See, these flipped. So then number 5, I'd have A New Hope. Number 4, I would have Revenge of the Sith. Number 3, number 3 and 2 are tied with Empire Strikes Back and Last Jedi. Because I don't know which one's better in terms of what I like. And then number 1 is The Rise of Skywalker. It's my favorite.
Skywalker.
I don't think it's the best made Star Wars movie. That's not what I'm saying. It's my favorite though.
Dude, I admire that.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker is by no means my favorite Star Wars movie,
Right.
but
Yeah.
this goes back to something I said before on Twitter, and a lot of people like got triggered by this. And shocker, it's Star Wars Trigger, everyone gets triggered. I was just like, every Star Wars movie is someone's favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's Empire. That's a pretty basic take. I'll get to my rankings in a bit. But again, someone like loves the Rise of Skywalker. Actually, some of my close friends, my roommates, actually, they really hate the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So and it just I like, everyone has different tastes in Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish people were a little more respectful of that. I think we're, as a fandom, moving towards that. Um, So yeah.
I see it because I definitely see it because there's people who are calling others out. I see people calling out those who are getting mad
Mhm.
for basic opinions, you know. So yeah.
This guy has some really unpopular Star Wars opinions. Can't say I agree, but it's interesting to hear. It is absolutely interesting to hear. It definitely is.
I like
I
it.
don't know. For me, maybe I don't know why. I just love hearing like rankings. I like maybe just on the way my brain is wired. I like organizing things. I just like ranking shit. So I'll give you my rankings now,
Okay.
and I've made a video on this. It's changed barely, it barely changed, but we actually have a similar bottom four. So my 11 would be Phantom Menace. And by the way, this is like my personal like favorites and least favorites. What's
Mm-hmm.
not what I think is best or worst. Um, so I would go Phantom Menace 11, Rogue One 10, Solo 9, Attack of the Clones 8. And for me, those are like easily my bottom four.
Yeah, we're
Um,
right there on those. Just
so
little
then let's see,
flip side.
seven I would go Rise of Skywalker. Six I would go Revenge of the Sith. Five I would go A New Hope. Four I would go Force Awakens. Three I would go Return of the Jedi. Two I would go The Last Jedi, and one I would go The Empire Strikes Back.
Interesting. So you like Return of the Jedi a lot more than me,
I do.
which I
See,
like.
it's funny when I explain my opinions on Return of the Jedi. I think it's slightly overrated as a movie. I think people love to talk about the brilliance of the original trilogy, but I think episodes 4 and 5 are leagues better than episode 6, just in terms of a movie, a
Right,
story.
right.
But for me, my favorite scene in all of Star Wars is Vader saving his son, killing
Oh,
Palpatine, and
it's
in his last goodbye with Luke. That is my favorite scene in
mm-hmm.
Star Wars. And the way I view movies, like in terms of what I prefer, I call it like the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi balance. So like for me, the Force Awakens is like a movie that's just constantly really good. There's not really many lows. There's not any super highs
Right.
for me with the Force Awakens. It's just a solid good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me with the Last Jedi, it has some lows. It has some lows, but it has some really high highs.
Oh, the good when it's good, man.
Yeah. So for me, I would much rather I like movies more that have high highs and low lows than just like a flat line. So I
Interesting.
think for me, like A New Hope is just constantly really good. The Force Awakens is just constantly good. But for me, like Return of the Jedi has some lows, but it has the highest of Star Wars for me. Same Empire for me is just all highs. And then Last
Right.
Jedi has a lot of highs and some lows. So like I can tune out scenes like Canto Bight or some of the Ewok scenes from Return of the Jedi because they have some of the best shit in Star Wars. And I don't know a lot of the other movies like for me Phantom Menace is just all lows. There is
Really?
almost nothing I
You
enjoy.
don't
Yeah.
really
If for
interesting.
for me Phantom Menace is the only Star Wars movie I would say I don't enjoy watching.
Interesting. Because I have a lot of freaking problems with that film. But I
I
love
do
the
too.
beginning. I love seeing
Hmm.
the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan walk. Maybe it's a nostalgic thing, and I like the ending. I
Hmm.
like the space battle of Naboo. I don't like the ground battle of Naboo. It's a CGI mess.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
no hate George Lucas, but I mean, but the space battle of Naboo, it's all practical.
I,
Looks
I I wish I
glorious.
liked it more.
That's fair.
I wish
Hey,
I
I
liked it
respect.
more.
That's an interesting way of looking at it too. I like
And
that.
then And then it's funny, people like to call me a prequel hater because I mean I don't think any of the three prequel movies are good, but for me, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I really do enjoy watching. I think Attack of the Clones is a mess, but I think for me, it's funny. Everyone loves to shit on Anakin and Padme, but when Anakin and Padme go to Tatooine of their trip, I think that is some genuinely good Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
I know there's the classic scene where he's like, "I killed not just the men, but the women and children too." Yeah, it's kind of silly,
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the empathetic person to me, but I really empathize with Anakin there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I really enjoy parts of Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith. While I don't think it's a good movie, just the Clone Wars has made me enjoy Revenge of the Sith so much that I could really sit down and just enjoy the whole thing. I don't like. I'll look at the Revenge of the Sith. I'll be like, yeah, that's kind of a silly like story thing to do from a movie
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Like I don't think Order 66 works without the lore of Star Wars, but I just love it. I love the movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of this is it's funny because people have called me a sequel shill, but I'm a little bit more hard. I'm definitely more harsh on the Rise of Skywalker than you would be in a lot of
Oh
other.
yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I'm not I'm not one of those people that says the sequel
It's
duology.
objectively bad.
Um,
Ruined everything.
I hate objectively bad. You're about to trigger me if you say that again. um, But for me, with the Rise of Skywalker, I have very similar takes with the Rise of Skywalker and Revenge of the Sith, and this is why I desperately want like an animated series about the sequels or within the sequels. Is that for me, the Rise of Skywalker and Revenge of the Sith, they both have fantastic moments that just don't hit as hard as I think the film wants it to.
Hmm.
But with Revenge of the Sith, it has these stories like the Clone Wars and all these other books and comics that do give those moments in the movies that emotional weight. And with the Rise of Skywalker, it just some of those moments it doesn't hit as hard for me yet. Like
Okay.
seeing Rey defeat Palpatine, it doesn't hit as hard as I want it to. And I think if they explore Rey's character or they dive deep into a lot of the other things, like all the Jedi really helping her out, then I think that's there to be one of the most powerful moments in Star Wars, for me at least. So I think it can be right now. It just isn't there yet. So that's why I view Rise of Skywalker and Revenge of the Sith in a very similar way.
That's fair, and obviously I disagree with the Ray Palpatine part. Ray slash.
Hmm.
It's funny I say Ray Palpatine. The only thing I dislike in Rise of Skywalker is Ray Palpatine. Her being a Palpatine. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, for me, I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't matter because the whole point of the sequels, or one of the themes in the sequels, is that your past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you came from. That's what Ryan Johnson set up. That's what J.J. Abrams went through. Even though he kind of retconned her being a nobody, she still was a nobody her entire life, and she still became a somebody, not with Palpatine, but with the Skywalkers. So, oh, thanks, Julia,
Yeah.
or is that two L's? Anyways, with I like your point about the Ray Palpatine thing because it is. So your favorite scene is Luke and Vader. Return of the
And of
Jedi.
all Star Wars, yes.
My favorite scene, it's hard to say this, but like my favorite scene is that entire ending for Rise of Skywalker, starting from Palpatine manipulating her to Ben Solo arriving just in time to all the past Jedi helping Rey. I think that scene right there, the past Jedi, that is one of the best moments in Star Wars for me at least, and it hits me very clearly harder than it does you, which is perfectly fine. Um, I thought that was one of the most well done moments. I know a lot of people say that, like, I'm getting kind of sidetracked here, but I know a lot of people say, "Oh, the Force Ghost should have been here." I'm like, they shouldn't because they weren't Force Ghosts whatsoever. They weren't. The only ones that knew
Hmm.
how to be a physical Force Ghost were just a few of them out of that bunch. They weren't. They were from they're sending their energy, their almost life force through the vessels of the Force itself. The Force is an energy. You can't see it, but it's there. It's an energy. It surrounds everything. These weren't Force Ghosts in any way possible. Um, and so after I realized that, I'm like, the scene was already great, but after I realized, I'm like, no, that makes 100% sense why they weren't there. And the scene, I don't know, I love the scene. And then of course she dies after, and then seeing Ben Solo sacrifice himself to save the greater good. It's just like I don't know. To me, it's just like the perfect like moment in Star Wars. Like it's just got everything's just good about it. And of course, you got the Exegol battle with the galaxy coming together and stuff, which is also great.
Mm.
But yeah, I could go on about that ending. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
So
I really like I'm close to seeing it where you are. Like I
right.
think the narrative elements of like or the lore of the Rise of Skywalker, like the Battle of Exegol,
Hmm.
Rey defeating Palpatine, I think can be super powerful for me at least. I just don't think it's there yet. And I think that's not
Okay.
so much the story. I just think that's the movie itself that doesn't give me those moments. But I think it can be. That's why I want them to flesh out um the story more. And I really hope they do.
So
I saw a good. Yeah, you have a question?
I was gonna make a point. So I think something that I love thinking about is the Force Awakens.
Hmm.
The Jedi also once again called to her. Maybe not necessarily send power to her, but they also called to her. One of my favorite comparisons that makes like, cause we're talking about what makes the scene great, is the comparison or the start of her journey as a Jedi, as a Force user, and the Force Awakens. The very first start of her journey, is when she touches that Skywalker saber. The Jedi called to her. We hear what Yoda, Obi-Wan, oh, there's a few others, but I can't remember exactly. But specifically, Obi-Wan says, "These are your first steps, Rey. Take them." Obviously, she's frightened, and yeah, how do you deal with that? That's like nuts. And I just love that setup. And then at the Rise of Skywalker during the past Jedi scene, do I need to turn my mic up? Maybe. Turn,
You
is
sound
that
fine
better?
to me.
Oh, do I? I don't know. Anyways, and then Rise of Skywalker, the very first words from the past Jedi are once again Obi-Wan saying, "These are your final steps, Rey." rise and take them. And so there's a lot of build up for me from Rey's character. Yes, she was a no one her whole life. Yes, she was abandoned as a child essentially. She had no one, but at the same time, throughout all this time, she did have these guardians of the Force watching over her and stuff. And so explaining, oh, how'd she beat Kylo? There's a million different reasons how she beat Kylo in Force Awakens, but they've been guiding her this entire time, and to see that come together in the end in that finale, it's like coming
Mhm.
together through her. She's essentially that kind of that thing right there. I don't know how to explain it. But I do think there's a lot of good build up and stuff from the start of her journey to the end of her journey
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah. So yeah,
No,
just wanted to get
I
that out.
for me with the Rise of Skywalker, I think the Rey and Kylo stuff is easily the best part. I think most of my problems come with the like Finn and Poe stuff and all that stuff, and just like out of pacing of the film. Now I'm curious because I think this could be a fun question. Because you obviously love the Rise of Skywalker,
hmm
but there's story elements in the Rise of Skywalker that I don't hate. I just would have preferred if they did something else.
Okay.
Like I know you talk about how you love Ben Solo's sacrifice. I
hmm
think his sacrifice is very powerful, but for me, I just wish he had stayed alive.
Okay.
Just the story potential of stories after the Rise of Skywalker with a Kylo Ren who's alive makes me so excited. Like for me, I think the idea of Rey being connected to Palpatine is a story element that's really powerful. It's just I prefer if she would have stayed a nobody.
Me and you are with you right
So
there. Yeah.
going into the Rise of Skywalker before it came out, you're someone who clearly likes the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, and you're happy with what the Rise of Skywalker gave you. But going into the Rise of Skywalker before you saw it, what did you want from it? Like, what could have happened from a narrative perspective that would have made you the
Mm.
happiest fan possible? Did
Mm.
you want Kylo Ren having to die? Were you more open minded, just wanted to see what would happen?
I like that. Yeah,
What were your thoughts?
I'd say I was very open minded with it, as I am with most Star Wars
Hmm.
projects. I will say, by some doofus, I did get the main plot points of it spoiled to me from someone who's angry that I like the sequels and was excited for me. Um, but like, it was just very bait, like Rey's a Palpatine. She defeats Palpatine. Like stuff like that. That in the end didn't matter. Well, Rey defeating Palpatine mattered, but like that
Hmm.
Rey Palpatine didn't matter. There was so much stuff that I didn't know. So yeah, I was going open, like very open minded to it. To that original point, did I want Ben Solo to die? I don't think. I think if before I saw the movie, someone's like, "Hey, would you prefer if Ben Solo dies or not in this film?" I think I'd be like, "No, I don't want." If I knew Ben Solo was redeemed, I'm like, "No, I want Ben Solo to live." But for me, when it comes to movies, I think it's important to, um, and this is where I think The Mandalorian kind of fails a little bit, season two, and I'll get into that. I think it's very important as a writer, as a director. I'm not, but in J.J. Abrams' hand, um, you need to conclude this story. I think it's important to say what works best for this story in this moment. What needs to happen here? Not hey, who's going to stay alive so we can make a future spin-off show with them. I understand that point where people want that, but for me, it's like what works for this character, for these characters, and for this time, for the time they're in right here. And for me, with Rey dying, obviously her is kind of like Luke in Last Jedi. Her body just couldn't contain the amount of power and energy that was flowing through her, which makes sense. Um, and for me, it's like, okay, that makes what Ben Solo did shows the audience he is a true Jedi. He fulfilled his grandfather's legacy, which, again, going back to The Force Awakens, was highly set up. Except Vader, I'll finish what you started. He did finish what his grandfather started, saving the ones he loves, whether it's romantically or just because he loves her, in that way. Um, and so I do think it's very important when making a film to focus on the now rather than what can we have later. I understand setting things up in the trilogy, but again, this is a conclusion to the Skywalker saga. This is concluding it. Um, and so for that Ben Solo part, I think again before I saw the movie, I would have if someone told me, "Oh, Ben dies in this movie," I'm like, "What? Come on, how are they gonna kill Ben Solo?" But the way it was done, I'm like, "No, that makes 100% perfect sense, especially with them being a dyad. They're a force bond that's split up in two. Now it's one." And so the theory is, since we didn't see Ben Solo as a Force ghost yet, it's because he's living within Rey. His Force soul is living within her. Again, they're a dyad, the same Force bond split to two. Now it's one. And so the theory is, whenever Rey eventually passes, then that force bond will once again be split into two, and we will see both of them at the end of Force Heaven, and they will be living eternally. It's very Raylo-ish, kind of that kind of thing, and I really really like that idea. And that does set some future stuff up. Um, But yeah, I think it concluded very well. While there's also stuff to be left to be desired for Rey and Finn and Poe. But with
Hmm.
Ben, I think he like after seeing, I'm like, okay, no, this is the only way he could have gone because
I
if
think.
he's oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. You finish your point.
Okay, so I was just saying, I think after seeing, I'm like, no, that makes perfect sense because say Ben Solo did live, okay, say both Ben and Ray, or say Ray died and Ben lived, or both of them lived, it wouldn't matter because Ben Solo would either A, be living on an abandoned island like Octu for the rest of his life because at the moment he was the most hated man in the galaxy, or B, he would be in New Republic prison. It's just like Vader in Return of the Jedi. Vader had to die. Vader couldn't live on with that. He had to die. Um, and so yeah, basically that. I think it makes the most sense for his character, for the development of his character, for the conclusion to his character arc, essentially. And I was really happy with it.
I think you make an excellent point with your comment about how the a story should focus on the story, not setting up future stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can really say that about a movie like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, where it's a trilogy and you have a planned trilogy and you kind of do need to set up some things. But with a concluding story like The Rise of Skywalker, I think you make an excellent point about it having to worry about concluding its own story. So you did convince me a little more that it was
Okay.
the right decision to have Ben die. It's just I think from a narrative perspective of the movie, you might be making a good point that he might need to go or might have had to die. But just for me, I think his redemption story could have been much more powerful. I think it's a little bit of a cop out if someone just makes a last minute decision and then just dies.
Okay.
I think something that could have been much more powerful, especially since he's a younger. I mean, Ben Solo's was what 30 something. He's a younger guy.
I thought it was like 28 or something. He's
Well,
young.
he's around
Well,
that age.
yeah.
Um, I think it would have been a much more powerful story if, say, they ended, say the Rise of Skywalker, the same story played out, but they kiss or they don't kiss, but he's still alive. I feel like Ben Solo wouldn't have gone back to Ajan Kloss with them. He might have went somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but maybe if Ray and Kylo had a conversation where Kylo, he kind of apologized and all that, but he is ready to devote himself to trying to make amends for everything, and he ends up becoming, like, in a sense, the perfect Jedi because he knows the horrors and the dangers of having going down the dark side. um and like the movie ends kind of with him committed to that he's going to try and spread the message of the Skywalkers, the sacrifices that his family has made, um and a little bit more open ended with just it's kind of the same message where for me at least, I think why I like the Rey Skywalker aspect a lot
Hmm.
is because she's kind of now the embodiment of the Skywalker legacy, and she's going to pass that on to a lot of other people. I would have really liked it if Kylo and Rey were to do that in different ways. I think Kylo would be much more qualified in a sense to do that than Rey is, because I think a redeemed Kylo could mature more since he's been down that path. He can help people not go down that path, future Jedi. And obviously he would have to do a lot to redeem himself to other people. Obviously he had redeemed himself to Rey, but there's people like Poe, Finn, a lot of the other people in the Resistance, a lot of the other people in the galaxy, maybe some old friends that he once had that are no longer his friends anymore. That those for other stories. So I think if they ever did like a show and they devoted a few seasons to him, sorry,
You're all right.
losing my voice a little. If they devoted like a few seasons to him really trying to earn like the trust of these people again, because it's not something that should be given like that. If they spent some time really developing his character and having him become a perfect Jedi in a sense, that would have been like my best story ever, because Ben Solo is my favorite character from the sequels,
It's awesome.
and there's just so much untapped potential with him. So that's why I wish he didn't die. But you make a great point about the story should focus on the story. But I think
Yeah.
they could have gone the other route as well.
Okay. I like that. I want to respond to that too, if you don't mind, because I really like what you
Of
say there,
course.
because that's really cool. That's a really cool idea. So I'm glad we kind of bounced off each other a little bit. I think my thing is, it's very safe to say that Ben is at peace now.
Mhm.
Okay, he went peacefully. People tell me he didn't, but he went peacefully. He gave himself up to the Force. It was his
He
one
absolutely
will.
did go
It was
peacefully. Absolutely.
yeah. He's with his mother now. His mother died. What was the thing that basically completed his turn in the first place? His mother. He couldn't. I mean, it's his mother. Like with Han, it's very clear from external sources and stories that they didn't. They never had that father son relationship as good as it could have been. Because Han's Han. He's just kind of an out there guy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so with Ben, I think it's very just beautiful that okay, he's laid to rest now essentially. And while I think it would have been also great if he did lived and fulfilled all that, giving hope to the galaxy, I don't think I don't think that'd be necessary as much as necessary as this was, considering I'm trying to figure out how to say this, because I just Ben Solo essentially couldn't live with the things he did as Kylo. And
Mhm.
so I think to himself, he knows what he has to do. He didn't hesitate one bit. He saw Rey dead, and he knows from that moment. And obviously the story would change that Rey wouldn't have died because of what happened, right? I'm assuming. But again, it's like what's happening in the story narratively and everything. He saw Rey dead. He has no one. She was the only thing he had, and now she's dead.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. So what does he do? He gives himself up to save the greater good, essentially. Um, and so I
Mhm.
really like your point. I'm still on board with. I think it was the best choice, just thematically and just story wise, to have him give himself up for the one he loves, and now he's at rest with his mother, with his uncle
Mhm.
again. They're all together, and I know, yeah, we didn't see him as a Force ghost, but again, it's probably more than likely because he is living within Rey. Um, that energy is through her now, and once she passes, then the dyad will be split up again into two separate entities, and that'd be really nice. Even more conclusion to everything, and kind of give some more insight on
Mhm.
everything. But I like your points, though.
Yeah,
It was really,
I love your points too,
yeah, good.
because
Okay,
I
good.
think for me with the Rise of Skywalker, and I've said this before, like I think narratively there's some really interesting things there,
Hmm.
and this is why part of me wishes that COVID struck like 5 months earlier,
Yeah.
because then the Rise of Skywalker would have been it wouldn't have came out in December of
Hmm.
2019. Say COVID struck in November, the Rise of Skywalker would not have been released. Because I think the biggest problem with the Rise of Skywalker is not the narrative; it's just the some of the rushed production of it and all that.
Hmm.
And if they had like an extra year to just touch on some things, make the pacing a little better, maybe reconsider not making the movie or making the movie a little longer, I think that could have really helped the film and could have pushed it higher for me. But it is what it is. And I by no means dislike the movie,
You're a hater. No.
because again, there's a lot of choices in the movie that I really like. I think I just would have preferred something else. Oh, and another thing for me, I actually read the leaks going in the movie, so I knew it was going to happen. I just, when it comes to Star Wars and me, I have absolutely no self control. Like, if there's a trailer, my perfect Star Wars fandom would be that I don't watch any trailers and I go into every story 100% blind. That's why I love the final few episodes of The Mandalorian, because you just didn't know what was going to happen. You kind
That's
of knew Ahsoka
true.
was going to show up.
Yeah.
Like, every time I watch trailers hundreds of times, and I can like
Hmm.
kind of piece together. Like, when I'm watching the Rise of Skywalker trailer and I see that Rey is in this planet with lightning, I can tell that's going to be towards the end of the
You
movie.
kind of connect it, yeah.
So yeah, like in the Last Jedi, I remember there was in the last Jedi trailer, when Kylo's or Rey says, "I need someone to show me my place," all this, and then Kylo sticks out his hand. Like the inner nerd in me was like, okay, when Rey says, "I need someone to show me my place," and all this, she's wearing the same outfit that she was been wearing in Octu, 2,
Hmm.
but in this shot, she's wearing the more like the Jedi robes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I know this is gonna be a it's kind of the movie is putting two scenes they're not together and making them seem like they're together.
They're in different
So like going
points.
into the movie,
Yeah.
I knew that. But with
Right.
like the Mandalorian, the last 4 episodes we hadn't seen anything from the trailer, so we didn't know what
Hmm.
was gonna happen. I mean, I knew Ahsoka was gonna show up, but besides that, I didn't know anything.
I asked.
Um, so part of me wishes I could have seen the Rise of Skywalker blind, but I think if I did, I would have really disliked it at first. I would have been furious at Rey Palpatine,
Like,
and I think I would have been really
oh.
upset at Ben Solo dying. I think if
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so that's part of me doesn't regret reading the leaks, because I went in and I managed my expectations more, and I was actually surprised. I thought the movie. I usually tend to agree with like Rotten Tomato scores. So when I saw the Rotten Tomato score of Rise of Skywalker was really low, I was like really nervous, but I was glad I actually enjoyed the movie
Good.
more than I thought it was. Yeah, 2 minutes until Longa does his streams. Actually, let me pull that back up if I can. All right, we're gonna close it out now.
Okay.
I'll probably stay on for another minute. Let me share a screen real quick. Chrome tab. Here we go. All right. So yeah, thank you so much, Palpin Memes, by
Oh
the way, for
yeah.
tuning in. I
Fun
think we had a
talks.
really
Yeah.
good conversation about the Rise of Skywalker, because you're obviously someone who loves the movie a lot more than me,
Yeah.
and
Just a
I
big.
want to love, all the Star Wars movies as much as I love like
We
Empire
all
Strikes
do, of
Back or Last
course.
Jedi, Return of the Jedi. I'm not gonna like trick myself into doing it, but you make some
Oh, for
great
sure.
points.
Well, good. Yeah.
So yeah, so for the rest of the day, actually right now, Lunga is doing his stream right now. So if you want to go over to his channel, actually, can I post a link? Lunga, did you share a link? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, go over to the Great Council if you want to see our boy Lunga, and then in about an hour, I'll be back on Star Wars Only channel for the Chatooine show. We'll talk about the Bad Batch and all that, and then later tonight, our boy Papa Memes is doing his own stream at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern. So yeah, that'd be. I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's late, but no, for me it's 6 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
Which I saw some people asking in the comments when the billboard's going up. It's going up at 6 at this time that you see on the screen, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So Goldman, feel free to join if you want. Again, I don't know what your plans are. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I only have the basic versions of StreamYard, the basic paid
Same here.
version. So I don't know if I can have like 6 people on or anything. But yeah.
All right.
Feel free
So
to
yeah,
join.
thank you guys so much for watching as usual. Happy Star Wars Day. And I'll see if you want to watch me and Palpamese later on, you know where to find us. So yeah, don't forget to hit the Glod Squad, and I'll see you guys next time.